A little bit to get into today. We're going to start off talking about Djed Spence because Fabrizio Romano has done an update on Djed Spence last night, and he said that Inter Milan remain in talks for Djed Spence, as revealed here and seen as a top target outright wing-back. Spurs' valuation is higher than Inter's expectations, but talks are ongoing and the player is open to a move. So very interesting, these developments for Djed Spence. Obviously, when you're looking at the teams in for him, the only one's been seriously talked about is Everton and Inter Milan. So it's obvious where his choice would be. Inter Milan, Champions League football, a chance to win Serie A next season, and a place where I think he could be really dominant, a league which he could be super dominant in.
Yeah, but there were some reports that they only want to spend 25 million. So if that's the case, then I think we want more than that. I don't think we'd sell to Serie A for 25 million.
Well, I think I saw a report saying Spurs want in the ballpark of like 40 million. Inter only want to spend 25, but I guess it's positive at some point that they're still at the negotiation table. Maybe a price can be met at some stage.
I think he's going to go within the Premier League. I think they're the ones who are going to be more willing to stump up the money that we're going to demand for him. I don't see him going to Inter Milan. As we said before, Inter don't usually do big deals like that.
Not since the new ownership, anyway.
Yeah, like they don't do like they're 40, 50 million pound deals for some, especially for someone like Djed Spence. And as well, I don't know how much they got for Dumfries, but I don't know if it was a massive fee. So I think Spence would want to go there. I can understand that because they're a big team, and Serie A, Champions League football, title challenges every year. I'm sure it's quite appealing. Will he get the wages that he wants out there compared to the Premier League? And are Spurs going to get the fee they want? So I don't know. I don't think Inter Milan happens. I think after this World Cup, especially if we win it, but even if we don't, there's going to be a whole host of Premier League teams looking at Djed Spence.
Yeah, look, I think people are looking at the past two performances from Djed Spence, and he comes out looking really good, to be honest, particularly after the heat he was coming under at the beginning of the tournament. Last game, everyone was saying Spence was the one that changed the game, which he did. He was fantastic in that game. So I don't know, like at some point, are Inter not going to start spending a bit of money?
I don't know. I don't know for this summer, but can they compete with Premier League teams if they come in for him? I just think he's going to go in the Premier League. That's the feeling I get. I think Inter, we'll talk about them in a bit as well, but I get the feeling they'll be outbid, and I think they won't be able to match what Premier League teams offer. That's what I think.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who, though, because apparently Everton only want to go up to 25. Inter only want to go up to 25.
I think there'll be more. There'll be more teams and there'll be higher bids. I think we haven't heard anywhere near the last of who's interested in Djed Spence, in my opinion.
I guess it depends how much Inter want him. Romano is saying that he's a priority target for them, and he's their first choice to replace Dumfries. So if they value him that highly, maybe they will stump up a bit of money.
Maybe, but if they're saying now they want to bid 25, can I see them spending an extra 15 on top of that? I can't. Yeah. I think they've seen Tottenham are open to selling him. I think they've seen that maybe Spence, wants to leave, and they think they can get a cheap deal, an opportunistic one. And I just think after this World Cup, there will be a lot of Premier League teams in for him. I'm not saying that maybe not the top six, but pretty much anyone outside of that is going to be looking at Spence, I think. So I don't think Inter will be able to compete.
Yeah, I'm thinking of a club that might go for him is someone like Bournemouth. Bournemouth, recently gotten so much money for sales. They've just sold their right back, haven't they, to Fiorentina or whoever he went to. Maybe Bournemouth could be a viable team for him.
I think all the teams. I'm pretty all the teams outside the top six are going to be interested. I really believe that.
Well, Bournemouth one of the top teams outside the top six.
Playing wise, yeah. Right now, but they've got obviously new manager, different. We'll have to see what kind of project they if Spence wants to go there. I think Spence will probably look for a bit of a bigger club after being at Tottenham than Bournemouth.
So what kind of club do you reckon?
Villa, Newcastle.
Yeah.
Even Everton are a big club. Maybe could he go back to Forest? I wouldn't be surprised. Sunderland, I wouldn't be surprised if they go in for him. Any of these clubs, I think they're all going to be looking at Spence.
All right, let's talk about Cristian Romero. His price has been revealed. First and foremost, Fabrizio Romano says Romero is leaving Tottenham this summer. Inter have held talks in recent days. Romero was offered by Tottenham as an option during the talks for Djed Spence. Inter are keen, but the costs are very high. Barcelona want him as well. Longari says, as already anticipated, Cuti Romero has asked Tottenham to leave in the summer. In Spain, Barcelona and Atletico Madrid have been interested for some time, just as Inter confirms its interest, even though they will not go to the fee that Tottenham want. It's a complicated deal. He said that information is confirmed. Tottenham's asking price for Cuti Romero is 50 million euros, which is very low for a player of Cuti Romero's standing. Paul O'Keefe says that Tottenham want Romero gone this summer. The asking price is 50 million euros. However, a fee of 40 million pounds could be enough for Romero to be sold. Imagine Romero going for 40 million pounds and Vuskovic is going for 50 million. It's nuts, like mad, isn't it? And Van Hecker with 1 year left in his deal is going for 53 million. It's just like, it's just nuts, really.
Yeah, I think we should be getting a lot more for Romero, and I think in another scenario, we would be stubborn with our price. Maybe even if Levy was in charge, he'd be stubborn with getting at least 60, 70 million for him. But as I've said, there's a lot of circumstances going into this. We've already signed our replacements pretty much. I've said before, I think we've already budgeted for Romero leaving this summer. I think that's already been part of the plan. So I think that's an open secret. Teams know that. So with teams knowing we are going to sell regardless, they're obviously going to try and drive that price as low as possible. 50 million is not a fair price for Romero. I think you're getting a good deal if you sign him for 50 million. But as I say, he wants to leave and we want to sell. When those two things happen, there can be movement there. There can be kind of compromises. And I think we probably will compromise this summer on the price because I think we've already made our decision on him. He's not sticking around. On him.
Like, how are we going to make a lot? Didn't we sign him for like 60?
No, we signed him for 45.
45. So we're going to basically break even and maybe even make a loss.
Yeah, I don't think we will make a loss. I think we'll probably get 50. Between 50 and 50. Yeah, hopefully. I think we'll try and get as close to 60 as possible. That's, I think, what we're going to try and do.
They're saying the starting price for Spurs is what we're going for is 50 million euros, which is
I don't believe that.
45 million pounds.
I don't believe that. I think it's higher. I don't believe it.
Well, that's what Longari and Paul O'Keefe are saying.
I don't believe it.
You don't believe it?
No.
I don't know. We have no reason not to believe it.
Just sometimes they get things wrong, and I don't think our starting price will be that low.
It's crazy if it is, though.
If it is, that's pretty. If it is, that means they're probably gonna accept lower than that. If that's our starting price, which is why I don't believe it.
What if no bids come to the 60 million mark or even the 50 million mark? Then what do we do?
Then maybe it'll go down, yeah.
Which is probably the case right now. No bids have.
Yeah, but the World Cup's not ended yet. You know, I think we'll have to wait and see what happens after the World Cup. You know, he's still there. He could even be another World Cup winner. His standing might go up even more. He's had a pretty good World Cup. So I think
the only way we get that sort of money if there's a bidding war. That's the only way.
Yeah. And if all these teams are interested, there might be.
Yes, but we're looking at teams interested in him that might not be interested to pay that kind of money. You know, Atletico was saying last year they only want to spend 35 million or whatever it was. Inter Milan definitely not going to go to that price. The only one maybe is a Barcelona.
Depends. Maybe Atletico could get a big chunk of money for Alvarez. Barca, I think, have money, so there could be a bit of a bidding war. Maybe Inter want to push the bat on one player potentially. I don't think they do it with Spence, but maybe with Romero they do. That could be a possibility. They don't usually do those types of deals, but Romero is a different kind of player. He's a bit more special than someone like Spence.
Yeah, Longari said that they already refused to pay that sort of money for a defender that they really wanted, and with Romero being the age he is, 29 now, or 28, going into 29 this season, it's highly unlikely that Inter go anywhere close to that price.
Which doesn't surprise me either.
Yeah,
because Inter Milan, they don't spend that kind of money. So look, I don't think we'll make a loss on him. I think we're probably going to get 50 million for him, and that's it. And we're going to have to make do because we've actively put the message out there. We're trying to sell him, and when you're doing that, you are compromising your negotiation position. That's what you're doing, because you're saying we will accept offers for him if you meet our price. So those selling clubs are not stupid. They're not going to say, they're not just going to pay the price, are they? They're going to try and get that price down. So I think Spurs have been in a different position when we're going in for players this summer. We're going for players who are going in for players at clubs who are not looking to sell. So we're looking to pay a price because that's going to convince them. Whereas these clubs are coming to Tottenham, and they're basically knowing we are going to sell. So they're going to try and get as low as... I can see this rumbling on, to be honest. I can see this rumbling on until the last stage of the window.
Yeah, I mean, it could... It's very possible, but there could be a situation to say that, Tottenham just want to get this signed off and move on with their lives. And, these clubs might end up going for other targets if it rumbles on that long. Yeah,
there's all possibilities, but I think they want Romero, and I think it's going to rumble on. I think he'll be sold. He'll be sold for a price which we're not going to be happy with, and that's fine. Is what it is.
Yeah, true. So again, we'll see what happens. Out of those 3 clubs, which one do you reckon he actually goes to?
I still got a feeling about Atletico. I think he ends up there. I reckon Simeone gets in his ear and convinces him.
Right now, obviously, I think they're the least at the table. I think there's been nothing actually about Atletico this summer. It was all about, it's all harking back to interest last summer. The 2 teams that have been accredited with actual interest this summer have both been Barcelona and Inter Milan. But you never know. Maybe Atletico come back to the table.
I think they will.
You would hope so, because that will just drive up the price if more teams are interested. But we'll see. Maybe even a Real Madrid come in.
Don't they need a centre-back?
Who have they got? They got Rudiger,
Rudiger, who's obviously he's old and injury prone at the moment.
They just got the Liverpool defender, didn't they?
Oh yeah, Canate. They don't need one really. They won't come in for him. Yeah, it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see how serious they are. But yeah, look, I don't think we make a loss, but I think we're going to send him for around 50, and is what it is. This is when you've made it clear you want to sell, then that's it. Yeah. That's fine, and I'm fine with it. We're paying the same pretty much for Van Hecke. We've got the player that we want, and we're letting go of the player we don't, and that's what the club is doing.
Yeah, it's just mad to me that a Van Hecke and particularly a Vuskovic is going to go for the same, if not more, than Cristian Romero.
I agree.
Which is mad.
I agree. I think, as I say, in a different scenario, we wouldn't be accepting 50 and we would be hanging on to him. But this summer, it's very different.
Yeah. It's like you're seeing these deals, massively inflated market, and then you've got a potential 2-time World Cup winner who have been central to that going for.
Yeah, but all these deals are from players which their clubs are buying them from clubs that don't want to sell.
Yeah, I understand that. Who are we going to speak about next? Just a quick one on Micky van de Ven. Romano just reaffirms the fact that Micky van de Ven is staying at Tottenham. Any news that you hear about Liverpool or Barcelona being that him going to either of those clubs is fake news. So yeah, we need him to sign that contract, man.
Yeah, it's gone quiet on that, hasn't it? Let's hope we hear news on that soon. But yeah, I think we've gotten the message from Van de Ven that he's staying. I always thought when I heard these rumours of Barcelona or Liverpool, I never took any notice of them. So I'm glad that it's been reiterated and get a bit of reassurance there. But I don't think any Tottenham fan is really worried about losing Van de Ven this summer.
Yeah, to be fair, there are Tottenham fans worried about losing Van de Ven. And I think until he signs that contract, we're not going to know about his long-term future. But for next season, for sure, it looks like he's going to be a Spurs player. And then last but not least, let's talk about Morgan Rogers. Been an interesting update regarding him. So Hand of Arsenal, who's a very reliable Arsenal source, probably the most reliable Arsenal source, says that Spurs have now shown interest as of yesterday for Morgan Rogers, but his focus is on Arsenal, and if a deal can be agreed. People at Arsenal do maintain he's a top target for the winger and central attacking role at Arsenal. He did also say that Arsenal and Mikel Arteta see Julian Alvarez as the dream signing for Arsenal. And if something doesn't happen with Alvarez and Barcelona, because Alvarez is obviously prioritising move to Barca, he is open to a move to Arsenal. So if the Alvarez deal happens going to Arsenal, there is a chance that maybe Morgan Rogers doesn't happen going to Arsenal. Timothy says that he understands that Morgan Rogers is open to a move to Tottenham, but his priority destination is, of course, Arsenal. However, there are some questions regarding if Arsenal will go to the price that Aston Villa want. Spurs will await the result before moving on to other targets. Rogers would hold out for a move to Arsenal, though.
So we're holding out for a player who's holding out for a move to Arsenal.
Basically,
I don't like that. I don't like that.
Sounds like Eze all over.
Yeah, doesn't go right to me. If he's holding out for a move to Arsenal, then you move on, in my opinion. If later down the line it happens, it happens. Like, I don't think we risk missing out on him. Obviously, you could argue if we move on to other targets and then we sign someone and then Rodgers comes available, you might regret it. But I think if we've got other targets, I wouldn't be sitting waiting for Rodgers. I understand Rodgers is quite an exceptional circumstance. He's a top player in the Premier League, and if there is a chance to get him, like, you have to snatch that with both arms. And maybe they're thinking, oh, if we go for Krupi now and Rodgers comes available, have we made a mistake going for someone like Krupi? Is it a similar position? But I think you got to go for players. You got to prioritise players who are desperate to come to you. And if he's looking for Arsenal right now and he sees Tottenham as his second best, then that's fine. We'll move on from him and we won't prioritise him. But if later down the line we're still looking for someone in his position and Arsenal have pulled out the deal, then you go for it. But I don't think right now it's worth the heartbreak.
Would it not be worth just prioritising other positions for now and just to see how this one kind of rumbles on?
I hope that's what they're doing, because he's obviously we have other number 10s right now. We definitely need wingers and strikers. I think we probably are. But I think obviously Krupi seems high on the list, and there's a lot of talks of wingers coming in. So I do think we've got our fingers in a lot of different pies at the moment. But I'm just saying, in general, if we're looking for a player in Rodgers' position and we're hearing he's waiting for Arsenal, then I wouldn't wait for him.
Yeah, I guess if they think or they know or they get a wind of Arsenal, no chance that they're going to go to the price that Aston Villa want. And we should test the waters. We should, make that bid and get him to make that decision, right here, right now, if Arsenal are not going to go to that money. 100%.
I've said we should do it now, but it sounds as though we've maybe contacted his camp potentially just to see where his head's at. And if he's saying, look, there's, Arsenal right now looking at me, I'm trying to see if there's anything that can be done there, then I don't know. I don't want to be waiting around for Arsenal. And also, you also have that risk of Arsenal initially, like I say, and Arsenal think he's too expensive, and then all of a sudden they see he's going to Tottenham, they go, you know what, actually maybe we'll just do it, and then all of a sudden he'll do a U-turn. Like, that's always a possibility in this one.
I guess just the difference between this and the Eze deal, Eze wasn't that much money. It was 60 million, 60 million, the Eze deal. This one you're talking about crazy money, north of 115, 20, 30 million, whatever it is. I guess we just got to wait and see what happens, and wait and see if Arsenal are seriously in for Julian Alvarez, or if I guess the first domino is if Barcelona are seriously going to go to the Julian Alvarez money. But apparently Atletico are refusing to sell to Barcelona, and they really wanted to go to Arsenal. So
yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if they're willing to go as high for Alvarez as they would for Rodgers. It'd be interesting to see what they want, how much they want to pay for Alvarez. Because Alvarez went for 70 to Atletico.
It'll be 150 million, apparently, they want for him, Alvarez. So it's going to be more
So
expensive.
if that doesn't work out, they could justify themselves saying, okay, 20 million cheaper, we'll get Rodgers. And he's still a very good player.
Yeah.
So if they're willing to go to 150, but are they really willing to go to 150 for Alvarez? Let's see.
If I'm there, I would, because there's no shortage of money at Arsenal. They're like the rich. They've made the most amount of money this year out of anyone by far. The money that they're making at the moment is just nuts. So,
but you're talking about a Premier League record transfer, aren't you, for Alvarez?
Is he worth it?
He's a very good player. I don't think he comes in as I mean, he's a good player. I like Alvarez.
There's
I
a-
like him.
there's-
I don't know if you should be spending a Premier League record on him.
There's talk of Alvarez going to Arsenal with Gyökeres going the other way.
If they can do a deal like that,
So I wonder how much money. But anyway, we'll
probably
see.
look at 100 million plus Gyökeres, maybe.
Yeah, something like that, or maybe just a bit below. But yeah, look, I think we'll hear more about this over the coming weeks once the World Cup's over and stuff like that. So we'll see how this one goes. But I agree. I don't like the idea of Spurs going for a player that's waiting for Arsenal. It just brings back bad memories.
I don't mind us going for him now and right now, slapping money down and asking that question. But I don't want us to be hanging around with him and us like sort of expending all our energy trying to get him through the door and convincing him, only for him to stab us in the back.
Yeah, exactly. So there you have it. That is the Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding all the news stories that we have brought you today.